Good afternoon. It is 3 o'clock, so we are going to get started with today's Coffee with Kevin. My name is Amy Dressel, and I am the Director of Advancement Communications with the Office of Advancement and Alumni Relations, and I will be your moderator today. So Kevin, are you ready to get us started?
I think Kevin is running late. Hold on one second. Let me track him down. There he is.
I made it. I decided I would say, what would Coffee with Kevin be like if Kevin didn't show up? But then I showed up. So thanks everybody for being here. Sorry, I'm like a minute late. Today, first, thanks everybody for showing up for Coffee with Kevin. Today, Amy Dressel, who's the Director of Advancement Communications, is going to be our moderator. So Amy, do you have any preliminary things we need to say before we get started?
Yes. So of course, you guys know this already, but if you'd like to ask your questions to everybody in the chat, you may do so. Or if you'd rather remain anonymous, you can send them directly to me, Amy Dressel, and I'll go ahead and drop those directions in the chat. We're also streaming live on YouTube, and we'll be taking questions from there as well.
Okay, so if we're ready to get started. Oh, one more thing I got to say, sorry. I ended up with another meeting that I unavoidably have to attend. So we're going to end today probably more like 3:45 instead of going all the way to 4 o'clock. Sorry about that, but I couldn't get out of that other meeting. So anyway, we can get started whenever we're ready. So Amy, you want to kick us off with our first question, see what's on everybody's mind today?
Yes. So it looks like we already do have a question, and that is, what are the plans for graduation this year? Isn't the Hult Arena going to be under construction?
Okay, yes. Hult Arena is going to be under construction when commencement happens. So last week we made our announcement that we are going to have our spring commencement in Hult Arena. It's going to be Saturday, May 7th. So because part of Hult Arena will be under construction, we're going to reorient the stage and where the graduates are to face just one side of the arena. So we're going to hold two ceremonies that day. So each will be about half the size of a normal graduation. But yes, it will be under construction, but it's one of those pieces of construction where that's our progress. As an institution, we're doing this investment in our future with this construction. So it's still going to be a fantastic commencement ceremony like we usually have. And importantly, while I got everybody, I want to encourage everybody to volunteer. We always need faculty and staff to help out at this event. It's a very large event with many thousands of people on campus, and we're going to have two ceremonies. So please, anybody who wants to volunteer, please get in touch and volunteer for this event. It's very meaningful. And all the faculty, I hope you show up as well to help celebrate our graduates. So again, this is the culmination of what we do, and it will be in Hult Arena, and I think it's going to be great. So thanks, Amy, for that question.
Yeah, and speaking of Hult Arena, how is the Hult Arena project going? I can't wait to see the new seats.
Yeah, I think it's going along well. The designs, excuse me, the designs look really good. Very excited about it. So right now that project is in its design phase, and contractor's already been picked, and we're doing the designs. Construction is supposed to start pretty soon, and so construction will get underway. So the design team's been working to finalize all those details, what the seats will look like, what the other things will happen. Our projected start date is in April, and this project is going to be done over 2 phases. So we'll be starting on the north side this year, and installation of the seats on the north side will take place over the summer and be completed in time for the start of fall semester. Then at the conclusion of the fall semester, they go in and then they do the south side. So during this fall semester, the north side will be done, the south side will be in its original, and then by the next fall, it'll all be done. So I think it's going to look great. I'm excited about it as well.
I have seen many organizations eliminating mask requirements. When can we expect the university to lift the on-campus mask requirement?
Okay, very good question. It's one that I figured we would get today. So here's where we are on this. Since the pandemic started 2 years ago, we have said our university is going to follow the appropriate guidance and recommendations from the healthcare professionals. The United States Center for Disease Control, the CDC, they are the experts. Our local public health department at Southeast Idaho Public Health, they are the public health experts, and we have been following their guidance. We haven't tried to fall victim to anecdotal or internet rumors or other. We're trying to follow the right public health guidance. Currently, the CDC still recommends the universal indoor masking in areas of the country or in communities where there is high transmission. High transmission rates is determined by the number of cases per 100,000 and the test positivity rate. So right now, all of the counties where Idaho State University has campuses are still reporting in that high transmission rate of the virus. So that's why we still have the mask requirement in place. However, that was all the background. However, our rates in both test positivity and rates per 100,000 are dropping very rapidly. Very good news has been coming in on the case rates falling. Yes, the disease is still out there, and for those who get it, it can be a real problem and very severe, but right now the rates are falling, and that's very good news. So what I'm hopeful at the rate things are falling, and as things continue to improve in Idaho in general and in our communities, we may be soon able to announce changes to our on-campus requirements, including the mask requirement. We also recently have heard some of the statements, not all confirmed yet, but that the CDC is potentially considering new benchmarks for indoor masks, and new guidance and updates could be coming soon, and maybe as soon as next week. So as it makes sense to do so, and when it's safe to do so, and the public health guidance says it's safe to do so, we will update our requirement. We don't have that requirement just in the abstract, or we're basing it on the right science. And as soon as we have a change that makes sense, we will communicate that, and we will continue to do the right thing. So that's where we are. I can't leave this question without, however, saying to everybody, I know how hard this has been for everybody, the inconvenience and 2 years of this pandemic and the pressures it has put on everybody in our campus community. And I can't thank you enough. And I hope I have expressed my thanks and gratitude in our communications and when I talk to people and when we do sessions like this. Our Bengal community has stepped up and has done it, and has done it right, and done the right thing. And we've taken care of each other. We have cared for each other. We've been compassionate with each other. We haven't fallen victim to other places in the country where this has been divisive. And I'm really proud of all of us. I'm really proud of all of you. I want to thank all of you. And we continue to hang in there with our perseverance, doing the right thing. We're going to be okay. So anyway, thank you. Thank you all.
Kevin, what is going on with the pool in Reed Gym?
Oh, yeah. Okay. First of all, this is a I'm aware that the pool is in need of some serious repairs and has been closed for quite a while now. Our facilities team has identified some of the options to address the issues with the pool. However, I got to tell everybody, it isn't some minor repair. It isn't like, fill in the seams of the cracks and we're done. These repairs are very extensive and very expensive. The cost of these repairs is, I think most people would be shocked at how much it's going to cost. I understand we're a university, and a university should have a pool. That's just part of who we are. It's important academically. It's important to our own physical health and the people that use it. It's important for recreation. It's important for our community engagement and all of the children, who've learned to swim at the pool on campus. I know it's important, but it's really expensive. So this fall, admin council made the decision to evaluate alternative sources of revenue that we can get to try to fix the pool, to explore the possibility of moving forward on the repairs. However, right now, we're currently working on our budget deficit as an institution. And we're not able to approve the funding for those repairs right now at this time. I'm hoping that we can get to a solution to be able to repair it at some point in the near future. So I don't want anybody to think we're not paying attention or we're ignoring it. We know what the problem is and how much it's going to cost to fix it, and we're working on that. In the meantime, I hope to ask everybody's patience and grace in the fact that right now we don't have an operable pool, but we'll get there.
Kevin, we are getting a few similar questions coming up in as a follow-up to the masks on campus. So I'll put a couple of these questions together for you.
Okay.
I watched the Sports Hall of Fame video that came in on the ISU email today. They did not have masks on, so please explain why we need to wear them. And there are still many people on campus not following the university's mask mandates, especially Chartwell's. They're not asking people to wear them in the Turner cafeteria, and they aren't asking people to put one on when they visit Chick-fil-A. What can be done about this?
Okay. Fair question. Our society, our community around us, many people have, for whatever reason, decided they aren't going to wear masks. And that's difficult for us as we bring people from our community onto campus, and even within our own campus community, some people are ignoring the face covering requirement. But let me start with this. Our face covering protocol on campus hasn't changed. It is still required. My expectation is that people will be respectful and do the right thing and follow that. Now, specific to the Sports Hall of Fame event, I know that they were serving food and there was meals there. And as we all know, when you have your mask off to eat and drink, that's okay. So I'm assuming that's why there probably wasn't masks that everybody saw when that video was taken. But I appreciate the question, and I'll look into it and I'll ask, what were we doing there? Masks are still required. I understand that there is frustration when we have people come on campus and they're not. I understand some people are ignoring it. The question is, how much are we going to put towards that enforcement? I can tell you one of the reasons why we still have the face covering now is because we need to support each other. We need to support our faculty in the classrooms. If someone asks a faculty member, I don't want to wear a mask, our faculty can rely on the fact the university is saying, yes, they are required, and we're backing them up. We're trying to do the right thing. That's what I want from all of us. It's not just everybody has to follow the rules, or the rules are arbitrary. It's that we're trying to do the right thing. The level of enforcement and how much we put into that is always a balance. And so I hope everyone realizes we're trying to strike that balance. I am not claiming and won't claim by any stretch of the imagination that we're doing this perfectly. But I hope everybody knows we're trying to put reasonable measures in place in order to protect all of us.
Thank you, Kevin. What is the status of the Vice President for Research search? Will candidates visit campus before the end of the academic year?
Yes, is the answer to the second part of the question. Thanks for that question. The search is underway. Our search committee is actually interviewing, doing the preliminary interviews with candidates right now. I think they've been over the last couple of days, in fact. And so they should be identifying the group of finalists. And I think the finalists are planning to be here in March. So just next month, we should have the VP of Research candidates here on campus.
This one's a little bit long, so bear with me. It would be great to get some kind of safety system in place at our crosswalks on campus. Drivers are not stopping for people waiting at crosswalks. There is one area on MLK Drive that has a flashing light system. I'm sure those are quite expensive to install. A different idea, some resort towns have flags that people can hold up when they are wanting to cross. After they cross, they put them back in a holder attached to the crosswalk sign on the other side. The flags could be made of a reflective material so that they would still be beneficial in the evening. So I guess the question is, what are your thoughts on this?
I've seen those as well. I think there's lots of different ways. So, I mean, commenting on that idea, I think that's a good idea. I don't know if it's the right idea, but I don't know otherwise. I've seen lots of different devices, different ways to get drivers' attention when it comes to safety in the crosswalks. So I think that's a good idea. I think there are other things and other ways to do that. So I'm going to pass this along to our campus operations team and have them take a look at it. Whenever we do crosswalk related items, we have to coordinate that with the city of Pocatello as the street authority on how those are done, right down to when even the way they're painted requires approval of the city. I'm not saying the city's a stumbling block at all. They've always been great to work with, but we have to coordinate that. You know, the safety of our students in our campus community is a top priority. It's always a top priority. So I'll ask our campus operations team to look into what other solutions we might have that will help with that. Thanks for the question.
We want a puppy update, please.
Okay, I probably should have anticipated that, which is tough because she was here this morning, but she needed the afternoon off. So she took the afternoon off. She said she was really busy, had a lot going on, just needed some personal time this afternoon. So she's not at work today. So I can't show her to you because she's taking time off, but she is growing. And she's doing just fine. So she's right at about 1 year old right about now. She's still pretty tiny, so pretty small for her breed. And probably the two most important updates are that because of the recent weather, she has a coat. It's Carhartt. It's Carhartt orange, so it's very on brand. And also I have been told that because it's Carhartt, it's hip and cool. Not that I would know what's hip and cool, but I've been told having a Carhartt coat is, so she has that. And second, about 2 weeks ago, at 10 o'clock at night, when I put her out before it was time to go to bed, she got out through one of the gates. And I'm not sure how long she had been out, but I couldn't find her. And then I happened to walk around the neighborhood, calling her name, and then finally went and got in the car and had to drive around the neighborhood. And I found her about 4.5 blocks away, and got her back. So I went out and I bought one of those Apple AirTags, and I got a little holder that goes on her collar, a little silicone holder, and put the Apple AirTag on her collar. So now if she gets out, I'll be able to find her easier. But anyway, those are my puppy updates.
Thank you. What is the best way to start advocating for changes in parking policy?
Well, I know that parking on a university campus can always be challenging. Not can always, it is always. It may be the one universal truth in challenges in higher education is parking is a challenge. If you have meaningful, constructive feedback on parking, please get it to our parking team so that we can consider it. Getting that feedback, how we can do things, how we might be able to improve is always a good thing. We can always be in the mode of constant improvement to try to do better. Here's my short version of parking on a university campus. Picture a triangle with 3 sides. It's a triangle. Obviously, it has 3 sides. The 3 sides of a triangle when it comes to parking are convenience, price, and availability. And at any given time, a university can help and deliver for its faculty, staff, and students any two of the three, but all three doesn't work. So think of it this way. If you want parking that is very convenient right next to where you want it, and you want lots of it, so it's abundant and it's convenient, we can do that. Problem is, doing that will be at a very high price because it costs a lot of money to put all of that parking in the most convenient areas. So if we want parking that is convenient and abundant, it's going to cost a lot. So if we said, well, we want parking that is abundant and cheap, we can do that too. We can deliver abundant and cheap parking. It's just, it won't be convenient, because to do that, we have to put it out in areas where it costs less to put it. Or if you want parking that is cost effective and it is convenient right where you want it, we can do those two, but there won't be very much of it because there isn't room to do very much of it. So it won't be abundant. That is the constant tension. That is the unending tension with regard to parking on a university campus, is those three sides of the triangle. We would solve it for everyone if we had it convenient, abundant, and really expensive. If we did that, we could do it, but those aren't the three everybody wants, especially the one that's really expensive. So we continue to try to do better. We are having discussions constantly about how we do parking and trying to do it well. So if you have suggestions and have feedback, please send it into our parking team so we can consider it.
This is a long question, Kevin. A department chair is writing annual evaluations, claiming they can use 5 years of data instead of just performance from the calendar year. That policy is not a formal one or posted, but it is referenced and used in annual evaluations. It seems counter to ISU and the State Board of Education's posted policy. If faculty asked the appropriate campus administrators for help and that faculty was told they have to resolve the issue on their own with their supervisor, how are faculty as individuals supposed to make sure policies in departments align with the university and remedy the issue if they do not?
Okay. There's the specific question that's being asked, and then I think there's a broader philosophical question. Let me start with the broader philosophical question first. It is my expectation that every employee on the campus is evaluated fairly for what work that they do. We have an obligation. I have said since I started in this role that we need to have a campus culture based on trust and compassion. And you build that when you treat all of our employees fairly. That's my expectation. On the flip side, employees and accountability and doing your job right, when you receive negative or critical, hopefully constructive criticism from a supervisor, doesn't mean you're under attack. And we all have to start realizing we have to operate with some level of trust in each other, and supervisors with those who they supervise, and for those with their supervisors, got to start extending some trust so that we can work on that culture. Philosophically, that's what I expect. As to the specific question, State Board of Education requires that our faculty and staff have annual performance evaluations. The policies on faculty are a bit more complex due to the requirements for annual evaluations plus full periodic performance evaluations that typically do occur every 5 years. The post-tenure review, the granting of tenure cycle, tenure and promotion have their own evaluation processes for faculty that are different than our other employees. So without knowing all of the details of this, I don't want to try and act like I'm weighing in on one particular performance evaluation issue, but I have some advice on that. If a faculty member has a concern or they're confused about what's in their evaluation, I really encourage them to speak with their department chair or their dean or to the provost's office and raise it and let us deal with it. We cannot solve the problems that people don't bring up. We can't solve the problems that people just let sit and fester and they get upset about. The only way we're going to deal with issues is if we bring them up and we discuss them and we talk about them. That doesn't mean everyone always gets what they want. Doesn't mean everybody gets everything decided in their way, but we have to be able to talk about these. And if there are concerns that can't be addressed by going through that process with a chair or a dean or the provost or the academic leadership in their area, we also have faculty ombuds. And I encourage someone to bring that to the faculty ombuds. And we have processes that we can address these things, but people need to avail themselves of them and have some level of trust that we will work on these. I understand, believe me, I understand that there's some history in our campus that people don't trust. But we have to work to get there because we can get there. We can get to a culture where we can have that trust that we are trying to do the right thing. But it's going to require us to come forward and extend that trust and have faith in that. And if that means you have to talk to a department chair or a dean or the provost, or you have to go to the ombuds, please do. Please do, so we can have that conversation, so we can start to address these things fairly. I will never promise anyone that it will always get resolved in the way you want. But it's my expectation that we can talk about these things and start to address them. So sorry, Amy, that got a little long-winded, but.
No problem. What's the status of the Meridian Executive Director position search?
It's been a while since I got an update on that. The last round of search, we didn't end up hiring from that round of search. And I'm not exactly sure if we're about to start again or exactly where we are. I know Gabe's doing a good job as interim over there. But I'll have to check in exactly where we are on that one.
We have a question that came in from YouTube. What is the update on the Alumni Center?
It looks pretty good to me. Fairly often when I go out on my run in the morning, I run by there. Not always, but sometimes my route takes me by there. And I've been really excited by the way it looks coming up out of the ground and what they've done with the stone work and rock work and brick or whatever it is that's built it up, and some of the steel I saw is in place. So it's under construction. Now, construction activity has been limited through the winter for two reasons: the weather and what they can do during that time, plus supply chain issues. Everybody's heard about the supply chain issues. The contractors has put in orders for, I think, for like steel, and it's taking a long time for that delivery. However, we anticipated that time lag, and at the beginning of the contract, worked with the contractor to make sure they had enough time overall. So you might see periods where it doesn't look like things are happening. It could be the weather or it's the supply chain. But overall, they are on schedule. And schedule calls for it to be completed about a year from right now in 2023, early spring of 23. And then we will do a dedication after that, but it's actually on schedule, even if you don't see anything happening. I think it's looking great what we have so far.
Who is on the parking team?
Well, Mark Pino, who just started with us in this last month, is our director of public safety. And public safety oversees parking, and Sam Orm is our parking supervisor. So between Mark and Sam, that's who you would want to give some feedback to.
The interdepartmental chargeback policy has been unclear over the past couple of years. This affects budgets for both those who are getting charged and those who are charging for services. This makes budgeting difficult. When do you anticipate a formal policy on chargebacks?
Well, thanks for that question, because this is something that if anybody in our campus community has a complaint or a concern about chargebacks, then I will tell you right now that I'm sorry, because it was something that I asked for. So the blame is right here. Put the blame on me. Because we did make some changes to chargebacks over the last couple of years. And right now I've asked our finance team to take another look at this, to work on campus chargebacks, to make sure we're doing it right, and to finalize both the campus policies and how it impacts budgets. And I am sorry. I'm sorry to everybody who's been impacted by that. The goal of this is, and they're actively working on it now, to bring recommendations back on how to resolve this. The goal in this is to have a department not have to worry about getting something done or fixed because of the impact on the budget. I want things done and fixed when they're the right things to do. And that's going to require some budget adjustment in the way we do this chargebacks. So they're working on it, and there are people who are way smarter and more capable than me who are working on it. So hopefully we'll get a better result. But the blame is right here. So I'm sorry for the impact that's had, but we'll get to a better answer.
A question related to Hult Arena. Are there any plans to sell the old Hult Arena chairs as a fundraising event for the community?
Yeah, I've heard that idea several times, and I can tell you that that idea is under consideration, but no promises on this one. And everybody need to underline this like 3 times. No promises on this one. And here's why. The design team's been discussing this, been working on this with the contractor, the potential of salvaging some portion of the old seats, both for historical value that maybe we should maintain for historical value, or fundraising, selling them at auction. There are people who might be interested in them. We understand that. As long as everybody knows, these are very old, very fragile fiberglass seats that break really easily. I think everybody knows that, because every year we see a few of them broken, or more than a few, a lot, and we have to keep replacing some of them. When they go in there to do some of the demolition, to do the rebuilding, asking them, oh, by the way, be super careful and salvage those seats, might be less cost effective and cost us more money than we would ever make by selling them fundraising. So how that gets done, and even if it can be done, is still under discussion. And if it is done, we don't even know how many we could salvage. And we don't. So anyway, there's lots to consider. Please know that that idea has come up. It's been discussed. I would like to do it from a historical standpoint, and I think there is some value to people who might want to buy those. So just know that we're considering that.
Can ISU employees expect to receive CEC from the state of Idaho this year?
Well, I would love to be able to answer that with yes. But that's a promise I can't make. That's up to the legislature to approve whether there is raises. Now, thus far, the legislature has approved a change in employee compensation plan that's been recommended to the legislature from the State Division of Human Resources. The state's change in employee compensation committee has met, and they have recommended it. And the Joint Finance and Appropriations Committee, that's the budget committee that sets our budget, is recommending it. And the governor has proposed budget plans that include a CEC. So most likely, yes. But until they vote on our budget in higher education, we can't count on this. But where it is now, based on the recommendations that are out there now, we're anticipating that a CEC could come up with something in the range of a 2 to 3% across the board increase in the base for all salaries, and then a merit pool of another 2 or 3% that gets distributed to employees based on merit. So what they're talking about now has 2 components, but we won't know that until they get to our budget and they set it. And it's very likely they will set, I don't know, it's likely, it's probable, possible that they will set higher education CEC calculated in a different way that other state agencies are, because that's happened in the past as well. I'm fairly confident we will have raises this year. and that it will be in those ranges, something like 2 and 3%, 2 to 3% across the board, another 2 to 3% ish for merit. But no promises until our budget gets approved by the budget committee, passed both houses and signed by the governor. Then we will be able to know what those are. And when we do, we will be communicating what that looks like to the campus, and we'll be very open and transparent about our processes. It's just too early yet because they haven't had the final votes on those.
Kevin, we have another question related to parking. What do you feel can be done to help mitigate the financial impact that some lower paid employees must shoulder in terms of paying for parking? And do you feel that paying close to $400 a year for parking could be a deterrent of gaining qualified employees, particularly those who are classified?
Well, like I said, I know that parking is a challenge. I want to let everybody know that our parking team is evaluating our parking rates, and that we are working on that. I don't want parking to be a barrier to either a student attending class or to an employee coming to work. We can find solutions that hopefully don't result in that. The short answer to that question is no, I don't want that. I don't want that to be a barrier for anyone. I also know that we have to have the appropriate amount of revenue from parking in order to pay for the parking operations. For example, the parking lots need maintained. They need maintenance. They need repaved periodically. They need painted periodically. Work needs done. And the way we pay for that work is through the parking rates. But we're working on it. We're working on trying to do the right thing and do it the right way.
You have spoken about Hult Arena and the Alumni Center and the building and upgrades. Is there anyone looking at the buildings we work in? I'm currently working in an office that has been without heat since April. Is there going to be anything done to upgrade of buildings with these concerns?
The hard part about that question is, I hope nobody thinks that we don't pay attention to the conditions our employees work in. I'm really sorry someone's been in an office without heat. Yeah, we're aware that a lot of our buildings are aging, they're in need of repairs, they're in need of upgrades. Our HVAC systems are aging, our heat plant is aging. We have a lot of infrastructure improvements and maintenance that we need to do on campus. At the same time that we have those challenges, I have people telling me that we need to spend all the money on the swimming pool and student scholarships and faculty pay, staff pay, and lowering the price of parking. We have a lot of priorities, and I am very positive and hopeful we can fix these things. We can do all of this. I just don't want anybody to think we're ignoring that or that we're not mindful that we have those challenges. I know that we do. There's discussions right now in the governor's proposed budget of some funding coming in for our deferred maintenance needs. I hope that happens. It's going to move us forward. And if it doesn't, we're still going to work on finding a way to get these things done. We do very hard things at this university. A lot of what we have to do is hard. We have a lot of challenges, but we are addressing them. That's important to me. And it's important to me that everybody on our campus has hope and a belief that we can get there. I understand that if you've been in an office that hasn't been comfortable for a long time, that can wear on you and it wears on your morale. But we can do these things. So please bring these things up so that we can get them on the list and try to address them. Our facilities team works tirelessly. That crew in facilities does such a great job with the resources they have and the work that they do. I am so proud of them, but we have a very aging infrastructure. And I think at points in our campus history, we didn't pay enough attention to it, and some of it needs more work. We're working on it. We spend quite a bit of our budget every year trying to work on those things. We're going to make it better, and we are going to make it better because that's what we're here to do.
An email to KDHS was sent to faculty that surveys about program directors, department chairs, and deans would not be sent out until fall and would be separate from the annual evaluation process. How can faculty provide feedback about concerns with their administrators? Evaluations of supervisors should include feedback from faculty and affect their performance reviews.
Sorry, Amy. Can you go through that question one more time?
Sure. An email to KDHS was sent to faculty that surveys about program directors, department chairs, and deans that would not be sent out until fall and would be separate from the annual evaluation process. So how can faculty provide feedback about concerns with their administrators? Evaluations of supervisors should include feedback from faculty and affect their performance reviews.
Okay. I don't know exactly what email was sent and what that recent development is on the divisions regarding getting feedback on supervisors or department chairs or academic leadership. So I'll ask about that. I don't know, but I can tell you that faculty feedback has been, and will continue to be an important and value part of our evaluation process. Feedback from faculty and staff on how leaders are doing is important. It is critical. And people in supervisory or leadership positions need to be able to know that we want that feedback. Even sometimes if it isn't positive, you need that feedback so that we can evaluate our leadership. I'm not sure whether the issue is when that comes and whether it's the right time in the evaluation cycle, but I would encourage everyone, including faculty and staff, to provide constructive feedback about their leadership and their academic leadership, either through this survey or other survey efforts that have been historically done, or by sending constructive comments and feedback to the appropriate office, such as to the dean or to the vice president or to the provost's office. We should have constructive feedback, and I would encourage it to be constructive feedback. I don't think it should be negative and caustic, but constructive feedback can help us all get better. And whatever those methodologies we have to collect that, please take advantage of it, because that's good. That's good to have that so that we can take that into account. If the concern is it doesn't feel like it is done at exactly the right time, take advantage of the fact that it's being done and use it.
I know our time is running short, but I think we have time for a couple more questions. What would it take to get 2 PRTH route buses going to ease crowding?
Keep in mind that the city of Pocatello runs the bus routes, not the university. We work with them and we work great with them. They're a great partner, but it's not our call on what the routes are. We have input and feedback. But I'll bring up this suggestion with our operations team, and I'm sure we can bring that feedback to the city to try to work on that.
What are your thoughts on School District 25 no longer utilizing Hult Arena for sporting events, and what will be the impact of that to Idaho State?
Well, first of all, I'm 100% in support of School District 25's decision. That's their decision, and I support them. And they have found that it will be beneficial for them to not utilize Hult Arena for their events, and they're a great partner. The school district and the university are great partners in many ways. We partner on many things, academically, programmatically, and in these auxiliary events and sports. That partnership is going to continue on a diverse array of programs. Focusing on just whether or not they play their football games in Hult Arena has nothing to do with our partnership with them, and we support them. And as a university, we'll stand ready to support the local schools in any way that we can. And if they decide they do want some games or at certain times, we're going to work with them on that. But I also totally support their decision to do what's best for them, and that's a good thing.
We have a couple more questions that have come in about evaluations. Kevin, if it's okay with you, I will anonymously share the questions with you after this concludes.
Okay.
Since this is all the time we have left, I will turn it over to you for closing remarks.
Thanks, Amy, and thanks everybody who tuned in on Zoom and on YouTube. I appreciate it. You know, we're coming to hopefully the end of 2 years of difficult times in the pandemic. And a lot of people, well, all of us have been impacted by this pandemic. I know it's been hard. I appreciate everybody and all the work that everyone does. We are having substantial positive progress at the university. We are moving in the right direction in so many ways, and we still have a lot of work to do. And some of our work is going to be really hard, really difficult for us to do, but we can do hard things. We can come together and work together and do these hard things. I know we can. I have seen our Bengal spirit. I've seen the way this institution and everybody here can work to get these things done. So I know we have a bright future, and I know we have a lot to do. I look forward to doing all of that work with you, and thank you all for what you do every day. I do appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.